When we were graphing from slope-intercept form, we talked a lot about the y-intercept. So the y-intercept is the point where the line crosses the y-axis. And something that is true of every y-intercept is that all y-intercepts have an x-coordinate of 0. Every single point on the y-axis has an x-coordinate of 0. Now, just like there is a y-intercept of a graph, there is also an x-intercept. And the x-intercept is where the line crosses the x-axis. Very similarly to the x-coordinate of the y-intercept being 0, the y-coordinate of the x-intercept is 0. So every point on the x-axis has a y-coordinate of 0. We can use this information to find either the x or the y-intercept of any equation. So if we want to find the x-intercept, we just plug in 0 for y and solve for x. If we want to find the y-intercept, we plug in 0 for x and then solve for y. Let's do that. So the x-intercept. The x-intercept has a y-coordinate of 0. So I'm going to plug in 0 for y. This makes sense because what I'm trying to find is what is the x-coordinate of the x-intercept. So x shouldn't disappear, the other variable disappears. I'm trying to find what is the value of x when the line crosses the x-axis. So I have a two-step equation. We will subtract 4 from both sides. Negative 4 equals negative 2x. Divide by, that's a negative 2. It's a negative 2. And I get x equals 2. To be really precise, I need to write that as an ordered pair. So the x-intercept is x equals 2, y equals 0. Notice this is the line of y equals negative 2x plus 4, and that is the x-intercept, 2, 0. Hopefully I get 0, 4 for the y-intercept, which I know I will. To find the y-intercept, plugging in 0 for x is like so wonderful. I'm going to plug in 0 for x and find y. What is negative 2 times 0? Negative 2 times 0 is just 0, and that is why this constant gives us the y-intercept, because the x term disappears when x equals 0. My y-intercept has a y-coordinate of 4. The y-intercept, though, is this ordered pair, 0, 4. Not so bad. Let's go ahead and find the x and y-intercepts of this equation, which isn't written in slope-intercept form. This is written in another form that you have some experience with. So to find the x-intercept, I plug in 0 for y. 4x minus 3 times 0 equals 24. That part disappears, so I'm just going to go ahead and write 4x equals 24. I'm not going to require you to write the step 4x minus 0. Ooh, one-step equation. This is lovely. So the x-coordinate of the x-intercept is just 6, 0. Similarly, I can find the y-intercept by plugging in 0 for x. When I plug in 0 for x, that term disappears. So 4 times 0 minus 3y equals 24. After that disappears, I just have negative 3y equals 24. Be really careful not to lose that negative. One-step equation, dividing both sides by negative 3, and I find that the y-coordinate of the y-intercept is just negative 8. Note, intercepts are always written as ordered pairs, so make sure that you do that. X is 0, y is negative 8. If you're having a hard time remembering, is it the x-coordinate? Does it have an x value of 0 or a y-coordinate? Just plug in 0 for one or the other. And then if we end up with a value for x, that's giving me the x-intercept. If we end up with a value for y, that gives you the y-intercept. So plug in 0 and see what you end up with. If you end up with something for x, that's the x-intercept. If you end up with a y value, you've found the y-intercept.